Alright guys, so here's the review of the Cronos L6022M. So, I haven't checked out a Cronos on the channel for a while. Not really been any that have just grabbed my attention, but this one when I saw it did. For a few different reasons, which we'll get into on this review. But, if you want to check out some of the other watches I've actually reviewed from them on the channel, I've got a couple of them down here. I'll leave a link to the playlist as well, down in the description, if you want to check that out. But, getting back to this one. So I'm going to go over the packaging because it is something a little bit different, not something you might have seen before, because I hadn't seen this before from Cronos. Last time I checked out one of theirs, they had one of those hard cases that a lot of the other brands use. So it's nice to see them trying something a little bit different, and I do like this one. Just a little accent bit and a little elasticated bit there, just a design touch. Nice little carry strap, hard case as well, and then we've got the double zips. So if we open it up, I'll quickly go over what else you get in here, because there's quite a few little bits, which are quite good too. So we've got the warranty card, which is signed and dated, because I actually bought this during the recent sale. It wasn't sent in for review. A spring bar removal tool, and it is actually branded as well, with the Cronos branding on there. Nice little touch, and it is a good quality one as well. So if you haven't got any of them, always good to have. Same with this screwdriver, but this isn't branded. But again, it is a good quality one. So as well as them, you'll also get a free strap that goes with this watch, as well as the bracelet it actually comes on. So I haven't actually worn it on this yet, but I will show you later on what it's like on this. So here it is, kind of vintage style leather one, with the stitching on the end there. And it's got the unbranded buckle there, which is polished. And we have also got quick release, which is a nice touch. So should be easy to swap out. But we'll get into that in a bit more detail as we get on. So the only other thing we've got in here, apart from the watch now, is the links that I've taken out. So I'll quickly show you these. So it's the rivet style bracelet, but don't worry, you don't need two screwdrivers to take these apart. It's just one screw on one side, which is good, because they can be a bit of a pain in the arse then. So I'm glad they went with just the single screw. So as I said, the only other thing in there now is the watch, so we'll take that out, get all this out of the way, and get right down to the watch. And here it is. So it is a really good looking piece, this, I think. But if you're not keen on this one, they do actually have quite a few different variations with this one. Quite a few choices. So the one I've got here has got the applied logo, applied indices, glossy black enamel dial, and stainless steel bezel. Or you can get it with printed logo, printed indices, and the stainless steel bezel with a matte finish on the dial. Or they also do ceramic bezel versions with both as well. But before we go into any more detail, let's go over the dimensions on this first. So, we've got a diameter of 39mm, thickness of 14.2, lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at 48.2. When it comes to the weight, with all the links included, it's coming in at 165 grams. Size for my 7-inch wrist, it's coming in at 153. So an interesting combination of dimensions there. Some that suggest it'll wear well on wrist, others that suggest it might be a little large on wrist, so stick around so I'll show you what it's like on wrist later on, as I say, before you make up your mind. But before we do that, let's check out what the dial's like on this. So as I say, this is the applied logo version, applied indices and glossy enamel dial. I do really like this. I think it's a really classy look. But as I say, if you prefer a matte finish, and you don't want that applied logo or indices, you can do that as well. So we've got that silver surround on the hands and on the indices. And as I said, that silver applied logo. So the only printed stuff on the dial is the GMT automatic 200 meter 660 feet. And obviously the chapter ring as well. Then we've got that date window at the 3 o'clock integrated in fairly nicely. Kind of matches the colour of the indices, so it kind of blends in quite well. And you can also see we've got that silver surround on the hands as well, matching on the indices, apart from the GMT hand, which is in yellow, just to make it stand out a bit. Nice bit of contrast there. Then if we turn it on the side, you can see we've got top hat style crystal, which is adding to that thickness a bit. So that is part of the measurement I gave you earlier. When it comes to the case, pretty plain finish, just brushed, apart from this polished chamfered edge. Then we've got that signed crown there with the Cronos logo. Then we've got those nice female end links, which help keep that lug to lug down, so it does wear quite well on wrist, despite being quite thick. And then that bracelet I mentioned earlier, which has got polished sides. When it comes to the clasp, that's signed with Cronos branding on. And then if we take a look at the side of it, you can see we've got the nice polished chamfer detail on there, 3 levels of micro adjust, and then we've got the double pushers, milled clasp. When it comes to the case back, it's a sterile case back, but it is screw down. Let's check out whether we've got sapphire crystal on this, using the trusty diamond selector too. And yep, we've got sapphire crystal. So, always good to see, but kind of expected at this kind of price point when it comes to AliExpress watches. So now, let's talk about the movement on this. And as you probably expected, yep, it's an NH34. So, got a screw down crown, nice and grippy. Unscrew that. Pop it out to the first position. And then we can change the GMT hand. You can see it actually jumps to each individual section on that bezel. Then if we turn it the other way, you can change the date. And then obviously pull it out to the second position, second hand stops, you got hacking, and then we can just change the time. And then that GMT hand will move as well. Pop it back in. Second hand re-engages. All works well. Got hand winding as well. And then we just screw it back down. Again, nice smooth action on that, no issues. So all good here. You're probably wondering, is the loom any good on this? Let's check that out now and find out. So you can see we've got a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So as you can see, initially, it's looking really good. We've got that ice blue colour of BGW9. Got a really good amount of it on there as well. No patchiness. Consistent across the hands and the indices. We've got loom on that lollipop on the second hand, and also on the GMT as well. It's a little bit difficult to quickly distinguish between the two, because they're fairly similar looking, but obviously the second hand is moving, so you should figure it out fairly quickly. Being the same kind of shape, it is actually slightly smaller though, as you'll see when they're coming close together now. I'm really happy with the loom on this. Not disappointing at all, as you come to expect with Cronos. I'd say they're pretty much up there in terms of loom when it comes to watches on AliExpress. Probably just about on the same kind of level as San Martin, perhaps slightly a touch behind maybe, but that's varying depending on the watch. So obviously don't forget this is the loom for the applied indices version. If you want to get an idea of what it's going to be like on the other one with the printed indices, you'll have to check out a review that's reviewing that specific one. Obviously I can't comment on that because I've not checked it out myself. But as for this one, you're definitely not going to have any issues with it. It's going to last you all night, no problems at all. So all that's left to do now is show you what it's like on the bracelet. Then I'll also show you what it's like on that strap, as I said. And then we'll go over the pros and cons and whether I'd recommend you go for this watch or not. So here it is on my 7-inch wrist on the bracelet. And I think it looks really good. Does wear nicely too. Like the way the light's catching those little silver bits around the indices and the hands. It's part of the reason I went with this one over the printed dial version. And we've got those little polished details on the bottom of the bezel and that chamfer as well. Perfect fit with that micro adjust on the clasp, so no issues there. Obviously the main thing with this is it is a pretty thick watch, but it's fairly good in terms of lug to lug because of those female in links. Obviously it's not going to be the kind of watch that you're going to slip under a cuff. But now, let's show you what it's like on the leather strap that you get included for free as well. And here it is. I think it suits the watch quite well. Would have liked it if that buckle had actually been brushed to match the case, but the strap itself is really soft, really comfortable. As you saw, I hadn't actually wore it before, but it's conforming to wrist really nicely, despite it being the first time I've worn it. But let me know, what do you think looks better, the strap or the bracelet? So now let's get on to the things I don't like about this watch. So there's a couple. It would have been nice if they'd used clear AR instead of the blue that we've got on here, and perhaps have a little bit more of it. But I think you all know what the main thing is going to be with this. Because I know some people are going to be put off this straight away, and that is when it comes to the dimensions. So fairly nice dimensions overall, but obviously that thickness, that is going to be a big one. But as I've said, I still think it wears nicely despite it being quite thick, because the other dimensions do help out. It doesn't look comically big. But let me know down in the comments, is that a deal breaker for you? If it isn't, and you're still interested in picking one up, link will be down in the description as always. That is an affiliate link, will help support the channel, but you don't pay any extra. But that's it for this one guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.